Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hey guys, Jim here, and I am here to drop a bombshell on you. This is one of the most exciting knives that I have come across lately, and I have been, in essence, doing the adult version of the pee-pee dance every day since this arrived till now, waiting to come out here and do this video. I am so beyond excited to bring this out. It's insane. Because for those that don't know, the Redencion 229 is one of my absolute hands-down favorite knives ever in the history of knife making. And to come out here and bring one of my favorite knives in the world from one of my favorite people in the world out here with a brand new upgrade, an exciting upgrade, not just, oh, we decided to use a different scale material or we changed the blade steel. This is a monumental leap for this knife. Today I get the chance to bring out to you the upcoming, brand new Redencion 229 with the Lee Williams Kickstop. And I got to tell you, man, this is a great friggin' day. For those that don't know what the Kickstop is or why this is a big deal, don't worry, I will be going into some detail about the Kickstop. And if you don't know why the packaging has an additional clip in it, it's because there are some people out there that prefer not to have anything skull related on their knives or in their jewelry or anything else. And having a preference is great, but I've watched people whine and complain and say just awful crap in some of these knife groups, but I would never buy one of those shitty knives because of the friggin' skull on there. Dude, it's just a design choice. That's it. And that's Ramon's logo. That's the way it is. I get not wanting something just because you don't like the design of something, but to bash an entire company or say that the knives aren't worthy just because of the shape, the design of the pocket clip is utterly ridiculous. And yet people have done it time and time again, and they probably will still continue to do so. So what Ramon decided to do was, for his production knives, knowing that there are people that just don't like skull things, decided to add a standard pocket clip that they can simply unscrew 2 screws and replace the clip. So you've got a plain clip and a skull clip inside. Now, my personal feelings are if your whole existence is to go online and decry the entire brand because of a skull-shaped logo in the clip, you probably don't have the intelligence to turn a screw, so you may want to hand this off to a friend. Anyway, like I said, having a preference is one thing, but to just bash an entire brand because of one little design choice that you don't agree with, that's kind of ridiculous. Especially when it's not something that's functional and important to the actual knife itself. Now, my grandstanding aside, let's get into the knife. So this is the Chaves Knives Ultramar Redencion 229 Kickstop. Man, I can't get over how awesome this really is. I really didn't think that you could make a 229 even more desirable, but when you add the Kickstop to it, now, in my opinion, it's pretty much irresistible. This is money in the bank for everyone involved in this project. And there are multiple people. So you've got Ramon, obviously, because it's his brand. You've got Riat, who manufactures his production series of knives. You've got Lee Williams, who you have to license the Kickstop mechanism from. And then you have Dave Stark of Steel Addiction Custom Knives, who put all of this together. He likes Ramon a lot. He likes Ramon's knives a lot. He's friends with Lee Williams. He likes Lee a lot. He loves the Kickstop. And he decided to put Ramon and Lee together for this project. So this is really his brainchild. It wasn't like Ramon was sitting down one day going, how can I make one of the best EDC knives in the world even better? Oh, I get it. Let's have a disappearing flipper tab. It was Dave Stark sitting around going, I really like these two guys. I like the products that they make. And I think something that's as stellar as the Redencion could really benefit from having something as slick as the Kickstop. Now, Dave has done this before. Dave is kind of a legend behind the scenes in the knife industry. He has influenced so many of the most talented knife makers in the world. Back in the days before everybody was a knife purveyor, and it was actually a challenge and a huge risk to be a knife dealer online, Dave was one of the OGs, I guess you could say. And he has worked with some of the most talented custom knife makers on the planet. And many of them credit his hard work on his website and the way that he would promote their products. They would credit him to their success. I've had conversations with numerous knife makers that said if it wasn't for the exposure that Dave had given them over the years, that they may not be as popular as they are today. And he's also a really nice guy. So he has been responsible for taking some really great knives and elevating them to a whole new level by collaborating those makers with Lee Williams to add the Kickstop. Go back a couple of years on my channel, you'll see a Tashi design Krypton that I reviewed that had the Kickstop, and that was one of the things that he put together. Enrique Pena with the Apache, there was a Kickstop version of that. That was Dave's brainchild. And the Jared Ozer F22, which you'll probably see mentioned a lot of times down in the comments of this video, where people go, oh, I've got an F22 and it's one of my favorite knives and I love the Kickstop. So a lot of credit has to go to Dave. Now, I have been a huge fan of the Kickstop for pretty much ever since Lee created it. When people say these days that, you know, there's no innovation in knives, a knife is a knife is a knife, and there's only so much you can do with a handle and a blade and a sharp edge, that, you know, you're not going to do anything new that hasn't been done 100 times before or 100 years before. But Lee Williams really did revolutionize the flipper game entirely by creating the Kickstop. And there are only a few real pioneers working in the industry today. And I always go back to Stan Wilson, who was the first person that I know of to create a flipper knife where the flipper is not an integral part of the design of the knife, where it's meant to be viewed without a flipper tab. That was the non-flipper flipper. And then you had Gus Cicchini, GTC Knives, that created the SLT. I've also done reviews on knives with the SLT as well. And then you have Lee Williams, that not only created a design where the flipper tab was no longer intrusive to the overall aesthetics of the design, but also serves a functional purpose besides just opening the blade. So if you're not sure where the name Kickstop comes from, it really is describing the two things that the flipper tab is actually doing. It's no longer just a flipper tab. So it is kicking the blade open, and then after that, for those that don't know, the Kickstop is not an integral part of the blade. It's not just a section of the steel that's hanging off of it like every other flipper. So it's going to kick the blade out, and then it's going to stop the blade. It is going to serve as the blade stop. So that flipper tab drops inside of the frame and disappears, or it disappears from this angle, and then it serves as the blade stop. It is an absolutely revolutionary piece of engineering. Just making the flipper tab a separate piece and allowing it to disappear within the frame would have been a difficult enough challenge to design and engineer. And he went beyond that to allow it to work as a secondary function. I mean, it really is truly brilliant. So when that flipper tab opens up, it drops down, and it's basically kind of a wedge between the actual stop pin and the blade. So it's making contact with it as it opens. Brilliant. So that's why people love the Kickstop. For people that love the functionality of a flipper, but don't necessarily want a big old dangly thing hanging out underneath the knife. Because there are certain designs that are very sleek that do look better without a flipper tab. As much as I'm a flipper guy, even I can admit that. Now, these will be available through all of Ramon's massive dealer network. That would include Blade HQ, Urban EDC Supply, eKnives, and at least a dozen more online retailers. So if you're Googling Chaves Ultramar knives and you find a dealer that carries them, they're probably going to have this one as well. This is not going to be hard to find. Now, there are also going to be a few rare special editions that are going to be customized by way of knife and by the Fanatic Edge. And I'm going to pop in a couple of pictures here because I talked to Andrew at Fanatic Edge and asked him if he had any pictures of any that he's working on right now. The only ones that he's working on that he didn't have pictures of because he's literally milling them today, the slabs were inside of the CNC as we were chatting, is he's going to be doing a golf putter mill design. We all know how popular that is. So that's going to look great. We've seen that done on the Brian Brown knives, Jaeger M's. We've seen it done on the Oz Machine Company Roosevelt's. And the golf putters are traditionally the variations that people want more than almost anything else on a plain titanium frame lock. So there'll be all kinds of crazy themes and anodized colors that will be coming from both of those great customizers. So you'll have an opportunity to get yourself a rare version of these. And also Dave himself is going to be offering some special editions with fat carbon fiber. So if you want something that's rare and special, colorful and cool, and you want it to be even lighter in weight, get one of the ones from Steel Addiction that has the fat carbon. Now, what's the price and when's the release date? All right, so you're looking at the G10 versions are going to be right around $400, with the titaniums being just a little more, I think about $410. So that puts the Kickstop variation only about $20 or $25 more than the standard 229. That's an incredible thing. I thought there would be at least a $50 price difference, and no, there is not. And they're going to be dropping around mid-April of 2023. So just about 2.5, 3 weeks from the time that I am making this video live, you'll be able to get one. So as long as Riot is able to get the product out the door and shipped on time, that's when you should expect to see them. I couldn't be more excited about this. I absolutely love Ramon's knives. I'm also a big fan of Ramon himself as an individual. I just think he's a super fantastic person. And I've known him since 2013. For those that remember, I was able to get my hands on when he was first making his way in custom knife making, from making fixed blades to folders. He came out with the Redencion. And in November of 2013, I took delivery of my custom prototype Redencion and did a review on it as soon as I got back from the New York Custom Knife Show, from seeing him. And I proclaimed it as the knife of 2014. And I said, this guy is going places. His name is going to be legendary. The design is fantastic. It is such a solid worker knife. It feels like you could chop down a friggin' building with it. I was so excited about that knife, and for good reason. And what do you know? Everybody else in the world that saw Redencion after that thought the exact same thing, that it's amazing. The few people that were able to commission customs from him quickly agreed that for any amount of money that you could possibly spend to get your hands on one, it was worth it. And since that time, Ramon has become a legend through his hard work, his solid designs, and word of mouth through the community from people that have bought the knives and went, holy hell, this may be one of the best knives ever made. He has earned every bit of his success through his hard work, and just being an all-around great guy. If you've ever met Ramon at a show, you're going to hear the same stories from everybody that has. They're like, he was the nicest, most genuine guy that I met as a knife maker at the show. He was just phenomenal and happy to answer questions and gets genuinely excited about knives, and really, really appreciative of the people that choose to spend their money with him. And you know what? It's really nice to support somebody like that. Whew. So enough about all that. Let's get into the TLDW. Too long didn't watch, even though I have spent a lot of time talking around the knife and about the Kickstop and things like that. This is the section where, if you don't have a great amount of patience, if for some reason you go to YouTube to watch knife reviews, yet you don't like to sit through knife reviews because you claim the reviewer talks too much, this is the section for you. This is the high line of it. This is the highs and the lows, the pros and the cons. And then after that, I get into the specs. And then I go back to more of my babbling and rambling about the knife underneath my lens. So we'll start here with the pros. What are the pros of this particular version? Because we don't really need to go over pros and cons on the 229 itself. It's a legendary knife. Thousands upon thousands of you watching right now already own a flavor of some sort of the 229. So I don't need to beat a dead horse. But for me, the pros about this are the fact that There weren't a lot of major changes made to the design. Actually, I don't see any changes at all, except for the addition of the kickstop mechanism. That's it. So it's remained faithful to its original design. All the things that you love about your 229, you're going to get on this one. You're just going to get the added benefit of ka-ching! That amazing kickstop flipper. Oh, yeah. Another pro. Again, that's going to be more of a the things I keep thinking of are more generalized and really are just talking about the 229 in general. The action, that's very easy to talk about. You don't lose that awesome smooth action by getting the kickstop. As you see on a standard 229. And you don't expect that from such a big, beefy, thick knife. You don't expect it to have this beautiful, gliding, smooth action, but you do. Cons. Are there any cons? I see no con to adding the kickstop flipper in any way, shape, or form. There really aren't a lot of cons to the standard 229 as it is. The only real con I've ever had with it personally is sometimes this sharp corner here will dig into your hand a little bit. That's really about it. Cons in general for most people, I've heard people say that they don't, that they wish the knife was a little bit lighter. Well, dude, you're buying a thick, beefy, overbuilt work knife style design. What the hell did you expect? This is not going to be a featherweight knife, period. That's just the way it is. So I don't really know what the hell you were expecting. It's like buying a big old pickup truck and complaining about the gas mileage. Dude, you knew what you were buying before you got into it. Awesome. Really, really just... I have no real cons for this knife. Maybe it's because I'm a bit partial. I can admit that. I am partial to this knife. I think the design is fantastic. Like I said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ramon. So I'm not saying that I'm unbiased on this. But as I go over it, and I've spent the last 4 or 5 days since it's been here playing with it, carrying it, goofing off with it, and just getting to know it, I don't really have anything negative that I can say about it. You know, if there's anything to like stupidly nitpick, oh, it's M390. While I personally love M390 and think it's still one of the best all-around steels that you can choose to put into an EDC knife, you've got great edge retention, great corrosion resistance. It's not a chippy steel, so you can go nice and thin at that edge like they do here with this compound grind. Nice, thin, hollow grind. You don't really have to worry about edge deformation all that much. It's a fantastic steel, but some people are just tired of hearing M390, M390, M390 on every knife that comes out. So I get that. You're just a little bit burned out on hearing the material. It's the same way people got about S35VN because of Sebenzas. Chris Reeve Knives was using S35VN because obviously they helped to develop it. And there were so many thousands of knives made a year with that steel that people just kind of went, I'm not impressed. I don't want to overpay. S35VN is still one of the more expensive premium steels. And it's still a great steel. As long as it's heat treated properly, it's a fantastic steel. And the same way with the M390. You may look at it and go, you look at it kind of like how a lot of people for a while would look at seeing a Corvette at a traffic light. They're like, it's just another Corvette. And unless they've driven one, unless they know what they're all about, they really kind of forgot how great of a car they really are, how fast they really were, how well they performed, how reliable they were. And It's not like seeing a Ferrari, at a stoplight. Then you're like goo goo gaga because you don't see it often. That doesn't mean it's a better car. Just means, wow, it's so much more rare and exclusive. It feels more special that it's sitting here in front of me. So I get how people have been ideologically burned out on M390 just from hearing it beaten into their head, video after video, reading description after description on websites. Yes, it's been used to death. Everybody uses it. But for good reason, because it's a good, high-performing steel. Period. That's all there is to it. Now that we got the pros and the cons out of the way, let's just get down to having fun with the knife and talking about it. The jimping on the flipper tab is done exceptionally well. It's funny, I was in a group conversation in Facebook Messenger with a bunch of guys when this knife arrived to me. And I'm like, hey guys, check this out. This is pretty neat. And somebody said, oh, I don't buy flippers that don't have jimping. And I completely just disregarded that entirely, not even thinking, yeah, actually it does. It does have front face jimping on it, and it's done really, really well. You can feel it. It's nice and grippy. They did a great job with it. But you don't really need it, to be honest with you. This could be completely smooth, and I don't believe it would change how easy it is to flip, because you're really resting your finger on that entire flipper tab, and you're pulling straight back. There are knives with kickstops, from what I recall, that don't have any jimping whatsoever, and it's never been an issue. The one custom that I owned, which was the Mongoose, that was a kickstop, I thought was really incredible. And the only reason I didn't keep that knife is because it wasn't in the finish that I wanted it to be in. The Mongoose was offered in a variety of different blade finishes, and what I wanted was the hand rub satin, which is also what I thought I was buying at the time from the collector I bought it from. It was just my own ignorance for not looking better at the pictures that he provided. And what I got $4,500 later, when it arrived on my doorstep, was a stonewash blade. And I went, man, for $4,500 and in such a beautiful design, I want it to have the classier look. I don't want it to be the bead blasted one. So that one stayed in my collection for only part of a day. I loved the knife, didn't love the finish. I really wish I could have gotten the satin. And I immediately sold it, or I don't remember if I sold it or traded it. I believe I sold it. Anyway, so that one never made it onto my channel, unfortunately. And then I've had 2, I think, production knives with kickstops. And they continue to excite my inner child. I am utterly fascinated by the operation of this, the ingenuity of the engineering of this. And it's something that, for me, has not gotten old or stale yet. I just think that's so friggin' cool, man. I got a flipper, I flip it back, and there's no flipper no more. I am that amazed by it. It's so funny. Is it gimmicky? No, it serves a purpose. Because there are a lot of people that will not buy flipper-only knives because they don't like how disruptive that flipper tab looks to the design when it's closed and or when it's open. And they're just like, I really would rather have thumb studs, my man. Well, there you go. There's a thumb stud version. That's the standard 229. Me, I love flippers. But I can definitely recognize that there are a lot of designs that look better without the flipper tab. Absolutely. Taking one of my favorite knives and adding one of my favorite mechanisms to it makes it a complete home run for me. Another thing that I've always loved about these is the grinds. I mean, just look at the sexiness of all that satin M390. The hollow grind meeting up to this flat grind, that aggressive swedge coming down the tip, or down to the tip, I should say. All the way around, when you look at this knife, it's impressive. And I am really excited to start seeing people getting these in their hands and hearing their reactions to it. Because I think it's going to be one of those knives that's going to be an instant success. It's going to be one of those knives that when the versions start selling out, people are going to start charging stupid amounts of money on the secondary market for these. So a $400 knife is probably going to end up costing you around $650, $700 once particular variations sell out. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So there you have it. There's my thoughts on the brand new upcoming Chaves Knives Ultramar Redencion 229 Kickstop, baby. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I appreciate all of you. And overall length of 8.22 inches. Blade length of 3.63 inches. So, yep, just a little bit over 3.5 inches. Blade thickness is 160 thou. So it is beefy and chunky without being ridiculously overdone. It's not like it's a quarter-inch piece of steel or anything like that. Compound grind with hollow primary and flat grind at the tip with a flat ground top swedge. Bowler M390 for the blade material. It is a drop point style blade. And there may be other options available when these release. I don't know if there's going to be the Tanto. I don't know if there are going to be any other blade shapes. But right now, just the drop point is what I know. And let's see. What else do we need to know here? Handle length. 4.59 inches. The thickness is just over 1/2 inch. And of course, everything is made of titanium. The frame, the clip, everything is titanium with the M390 steel blade.